and welcome to the No Taboo Woo Show.
I'm Sandra Logan.
And I'm Gail Chisholm.
If you enjoy being a fly on the wall of deep and meaningful conversations between pals on all things spirituality, healing, and personal empowerment, then you have landed in the right podcast.
Enjoy today's episode. Hello. How are you?
I'm good. Spring is like giving life a feel. It's been so nice to spend more time outdoors. Like, I don't know if you're feeling that, but like with the better weather recently, it's been so nice to like be out, like outside, reading my book outside. I think being in a small space as well, it's like this time of year you really notice a big difference when it's like the sun comes out and it's warmer. Like the schools have been off this week, so there's like loads of people about as well. It's bustling, the energy, you can feel it's like everything coming alive, which is nice.
I was just laughing because I'm like, has that been my experience in Lancashire? Actually, today's a beautiful day. The sun is shining, the light coming in is lovely. Last week, it's been quite changeable, like to the point where our garden is very sodden. It's
Yeah.
hanging out the washing today. Midlife wins is getting your washing hung out. And it was yeah, I just feel like the garden's really waterlogged. I feel like Lancashire's quite a wet county, more than I had appreciated. But today the weather is lovely. I'm hoping we get a nice warm summer so we can use the garden a bit more and sit out and enjoy it. But I haven't really been outside much in terms of sitting outside. Still a bit chilly though. I mean, it's only just reaching 10 degrees here today.
Is that
Like Bob left early to go away for work and he had to defrost his fan windscreen at 5 a.m.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a big difference from Kent.
Mm.
I don't miss that at all. And when there was like frost on the inside of the windows at times.
Mm.
I had to scrape the inside of the window.
Not great. Not great. Not great at
Not
all.
great. That's the thing
Mm.
with an old fan as well. You don't have the windscreen heaters. Do you know what I mean? You know, the ones that like
Mm.
defrost your windscreen for you. The
Yeah,
joy, the joys. So I don't
I
miss
know.
those days.
I was
Really glad.
yeah, I was at netball on Saturday and it was an away game in Manchester and my co-coach was driving and her car has heated seats. which,
Oh, fancy.
I know they always make me feel a bit like I've wet myself though, because it's like weird. It's like it starts like the heat sort of permeates outward from your bum, so it's like this is a bit strange.
I
But
was
no, that
watching a
was
video the other day about subscriptions and about how some of the newer cars, things like heated seats, are on subscription. And I was like, that is actually wild. Like electric cars and stuff like that, like the companies that are selling them are charging for people to use some of the functions because they're like premium. So regardless of the fact that you've already bought the car, I'm just like, it blows my fucking mind. Like the
that's just
subscription
strange.
society has got so out hand. It's mental.
Mm,
Like
that was a
subscribing to
bit
something you
strange.
already own. Same with like
Mm.
printers. Somebody had said in the comments about Ring doorbell that you have to subscribe for features on that. And I'm like, what?
It's you subscribe for data to hold the data if you want to just
Right,
keep
okay.
accessing it. I have a printer subscription to be honest. Because what it does is it spreads out the cost of your so it's like a monthly direct debit of like your printer cartridge and paper, but because your printer's on a Wi-Fi is that they know it stores how much you're using, so it's intelligent enough so you don't end up holding too much paper or um printer ink, and you pay a subscription linked to your usage.
Okay,
So on
well,
one hand, it's quite helpful to spread the cost. But
it's
yeah,
almost like girl math. Do you know, it makes me think of like music and stuff now, and obviously you're paying like for Spotify and stuff so that the creators get some of that money, which I think is totally fair. But it's like it's pitched, I think, to consumers that it's like this cheaper version. But really, when you think of it, like you're paying that like across your entire life if you're going to have that service for life. It's like I feel like we've had such a shift societally from like buying things and owning things to move into this like you're sort of tied into these things. Do you know what I
But
mean?
that's how it used to be. Like if you think of like in the you I was going to say if you think in the 80s, but you were born in the 80s, but like, you know,
Boring.
growing up when I was a kid in the 80s, like a lot of people would they would rent their TV. Like so you would go to radio rentals and
Yeah.
you would rent like your washing machine or you'd rent your TV because people couldn't afford, so they couldn't afford to drop the amount of money that it costs to buy a telly or a washing machine or a tumble dryer or a fridge. And so you rented your white goods or your electricals in your home as a way of spreading the cost. The other
Mm,
option would be obviously to borrow the money and then pay to like a bank loan and then pay it back or a credit card. But borrowing, like interest rates in the 80s were in double digits. So
mm,
actually, to borrow money from a bank and pay and then own the item probably cost you more than renting it. And then at the end of the period of time, I think you give it back or you could get an upgrade. But we
mm,
don't do that so much with these electrical items or these big white goods anymore because they're more affordable.
mm,
So some things have obviously changed to it's like an ownership, but some things it's a spread in the cost. And then some of it's like a budgeting point of view, isn't it? Where you're like, um, you know, I don't know how much a cartridge of ink is or whatever, but then I know I'm never gonna because it's smart, it sends me it. But like in my job as a celebrant, I do actually have to print stuff.
yeah.
So it's a business expense, but it's also linked to how much I think I'd use. So like obviously if I'm going to use more, my monthly payment is more. But it isn't interesting when you then think about, you know, if you're thinking about budgeting and then you're going through your income and expenditure, because then you've always got to factor that in every month, haven't you? Like you've got to pay your, I don't know, £4 a month for my printer stuff or whatever it is.
Mm,
Um, whereas if I just went and bought as I needed, but it does mean I don't need storage space for things.
yeah.
But it's like
Yeah.
you can get everything. Like you have your dog food on subscription,
I think something like that's
beverages.
different though. I feel like the tech stuff, I'm not really on board with a lot of it. Um, like the things like for features of a product that you've already purchased, I
Mm.
don't feel is fair to the consumer. But I feel like it's different if you're buying something that's like that, for example, or a service that you're getting, you know, like a regular service type subscription, or you're getting like food and things like that. I feel like that's fair enough because it's like it creates that ease, doesn't it, as well? You're not having to then go out and buy the
Mhm.
dog food and stuff like that. But
I
sometimes
suppose though there's a potentially like a status attached to some of it though, isn't it? It's like you can then afford to have the car, but you just don't need to pay for like all these other things. So you can have the status of the thing looks like whatever your vehicle is, but then you don't have you can it makes it affordable. I find it strange though, because obviously if it's to do with electrical things where it's like what you're paying for out of, you know, it being charged up. It does seem odd though. I mean, I suppose though, like if you think of like back in the day with non-electrical vehicles, you just wouldn't have these features. Whereas
yeah,
now with electrical vehicles is like maybe the vehicle has the capability of them, but instead of it just not being part of the build, is they just don't switch it on.
yeah. Because that's what people were saying. It's like that they like because the subscription ran out on something after they bought their car, things just stopped working. And then it was coming up like
That's a bit
even
weird.
like their maps on their sat nav, they can access on their car
Don't
because
get anything for free these days, do you?
it's just I find it so wild. So
Mm.
wild. It's crazy. And like I do think to myself, like, because I think back to like on the music side of things, I used to love having my Walkman. Like that was one of the highlights of my weekend as a teenager was like going into HMV, getting myself a new CD and like leaving the shop, putting the new CD into my Walkman and listening to it on the bus home, like full volume, totally like just loving it. And that was like in itself, it was a whole experience. And I feel like we kind of miss that now. Like you don't, it doesn't hit the same when it's on Spotify or like if you're on TikTok and like said, this is the thing and how I've changed as well and how I even listen to music is like I discover a lot of people on the likes of TikTok because there's so many amazing artists there
Mm.
and you can discover people that you might not otherwise find, which I think is really cool. So then I'll see somebody pop up and then I'll go to Spotify and then add it to a playlist. But then it's not like I used to really love finding a band or an artist that I really vibed with and then listening to the full album and having that experience of like looking at the artwork and the booklet as well that came with the CD and stuff. You don't really get any of that anymore. I'm
Well, if
like,
you're the
well,
new
compared
gen
to
coming
that,
up, what are
I
they,
need
Gen
it.
Alpha or something? The kids coming up now, they are buying, they're wanting tangible items again. So my
Mm.
friend's daughter is 11, and in fact, it was the second person I'd heard of who are kids coming up is they wanted a CD player for their birthday or Christmas, and it's about
Oh.
buying CDs. Um, and obviously it's a bit more tricky to buy. Although if you go to a charity shop, you can buy oodles. I've still got all my CDs, um, but they're craving a tangible thing. It's like even things like gaming consoles. They used to all be you'd have the gaming console, you'd buy the game and you had it. Whereas now it's like
Yeah.
you're paying 40, 50 quid and it's a download. And so you have nothing in return for your money. So it feels like there's no, there hasn't been an exchange. But from a music perspective, the thing that I find that I'm quite guilty of now with Spotify is I'll just pick and mix the songs that I want to listen to rather than
Yeah.
necessarily experiencing a whole album from start to finish in the order in which the artist wants you to listen to it. Because quite often there's a story that they're trying to tell you rather than
Mm-hmm.
you picking a particular tune. But it's, yeah, so I mean, I think we'll start going back to that. I feel that there'll be, um, a grow a return to having things that you can hold and touch, especially
Yeah.
as, you know,
Be interesting to see if they start producing CDs again.
they still
Like if
do.
artists start. Do
And
they?
records, yeah, yeah. You can go and
Well,
buy
your
albums
records,
and
I think, 'cause
records.
they're like
Yeah, you can buy
cool.
them on CD. Um,
Okay.
so yeah. I mean, I haven't, admittedly, I haven't bought a new CD for a while, but I know you can get them. And when I bought my last house, um, I went and bought myself a CD player. Um,
Mm-hmm.
because I wanted to listen to all my CDs. Um, and it's good. And actually, I remember my mum and dad got rid of their record collection, which is now in my house with their
Ah,
record player.
that's cool.
Um, it's funny actually. Just I was saying this to Bob Brown, like the house that we're in now is smaller than my old house, which I had a whole wall of books and CDs and records and stuff. But I do miss having because I think when they're out, because quite often people have probably still got their CDs, but they're up the loft or they're in the shed or something. But I think sometimes there's an out of sight, out of mind.
Hmm.
And I definitely think that when things were there, I would be much more inclined to be like, I'm going to put a CD on and listen to it from
Yeah.
start to finish, or a record or something like that. Um, but yeah, you can still buy CDs, but I'm not sure you've got room
Maybe I'll
for one in
revisit.
your van.
Yeah. Maybe I'll
You,
revisit because I do have CDs in the van actually. I don't listen to them as often when I'm driving because I've got the Bluetooth connection that connects to my phone for maps. So I tend to just put on Spotify. But I do have a few CDs in here. Um, but I've not listened to them that much because I normally need maps because I don't know the roads.
yeah.
Um, but I was thinking there when you were saying about the CDs, it'd be cool. Maybe I'll revisit my youth if HMV and stuff start doing more um in person, like go back to having a wee look and finding an
I'm
album.
sure there's an HMV in where you're at. I know that the HMVs are still in existence and they still sell CDs and they sell records and they sell t-shirts and they sell loads of other gumph as well. But um, I think there's definitely a return to tangible items in return
Mm.
for your cash.
Yeah, that's very fitting with my North Node in Taurus as well. Taurus loves the tangible, something to connect with the senses and all that, but it's like the things you can touch and you can
Mm.
feel. So yeah, that does speak to me. Be interesting to hear what other people think about that. What are your views on subscriptions? And what's the maddest subscription that you own?
Well,
I
yeah.
feel like some of them in the comments, I was just like, this is crazy. I didn't even know half of these things existed. So
Yeah. I mean, I've
everybody's.
got quite a few subscriptions, really. Some things are like obviously like my printer one's pretty smart where it, you know, and if I go over, this is the good thing about it is that it doesn't stop me from using it. I just have to pay a bit more for a
Mm,
particular mother. I pay extra for the sheets I've gone over.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, and then I do get some other stuff delivered. Like I used to get wine, but since I'm not really drinking wine at the moment, don't get wine delivered, but I get it's a thing called Rick's. It's some juice that it's like fizzy CBD juice. Um, that Bob and I get, and I always laugh when it comes in because he drinks a lot of like fizzy juice regardless. So it's a delivery of 24 cans, so we have 12 each. And every time he snaffled his within like
It's
a
got yours.
week of like them arriving. He'll happily have like 2 a day. And I was reflecting on this because I was like, why is that? And I think it's a conditioning from when I was growing up. Whereas I think Bob's lost that conditioning of like, um, when, maybe you'd be like, or you'd have a fizzy juice, or there'd be like fizzy juice in the cupboard, or you'd have the Bon Accord man of the bottle of fizzy juice, and it's classed as a treat, so you'd be allowed like one a day, or like a wee like mini Milky Way or a mini Mars bar or something. You'd be allowed one, or like one bag of crisps, and so in my head, I realized that I've got this habit from because with this delivery that I get, it's obviously it's a finite thing. I mean, we could get more delivered, I suppose, but I'm like one a day because it's a treat.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
whereas he just doesn't seem to have that conditioning. And obviously, I know his mum and dad, and I'm sure that when he was growing up, that, they didn't have an abundance of stuff. And also, some of it's a health thing, right? That you're not just sitting eating chocolate all day, or drinking fizzy juice. But I do think it's funny where I'm like, there's this just thing in my head where I'm like, just one, you're allowed one per day. I'm not sure what would happen if I had to. Maybe I need to challenge myself one day and be like,
Oh,
push the boat out, Gail, and have two.
well.
See if the world would crumble. But it's funny, these things that just last a lifetime, don't they? And you're thinking, crikey, I mean, that was, I'm certainly further away from my youth than I am closer to it. So it's a bit weird.
I grew up on it was
Mm,
diluted juice in my house. And it was like fizzy juice was like a treat. But it's funny
mm,
because even as a kid, I wasn't massively into like fizzy juice. Like I would always rather have had like a bar of chocolate or a biscuit or something like that I can crunch as opposed to
mm,
like fizzy juice. I also had a lot of like dental issues when I was a kid, like from quite a young age. And so that was sort of like something that was drummed into me was like about how bad it is for your teeth and the enamel in your teeth to drink sugary drinks. And
mm.
then of course I hit my teens and was like underage drinking and WKDs and all. Oh God, when I think back to like Smirnoff ices and stuff, they're so sickly sweet, absolutely packed with sugar, and I'd have like 10 of them on a night out. So that sort of undid all that work. But in terms
Yeah.
of the side of things, I'm not big on even now, like if it's a really nice day and I'm like feeling like thirsty, I'll be like, oh, maybe like an appetizer or an orangina or something like that. But I'd never reach for like a can of Coke. Doesn't appeal to me at all. Even like a 7 Up or anything like that, like fizzy juices or them. I do
Mm.
occasionally like one of the bars ones, Junaid and stuff. Do you know now
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Wee
some places
cherry
when I
or
was
a
in
wee
Cornwall, I looked at
pineapple or
them.
something.
Yeah, or we
Mm.
limeade, something like that. But as like once in a blue moon kind of thing, I wouldn't be into like drinking them every day. I'd much rather have like a bar of chocolate. Love me a bar of chocolate.
Mm.
As I do. But yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
We went off on a tangent there. What's the card of the day? Yours pulled from the
So the
Dreamy
card
Moons
I did
deck.
pull a bit early because like it takes them a while for them to come out. But we have the night. I'm using the Dreamy Moons tarot deck today. And the card we have is the Knight of Crystals. So if you're listening and not
Ooh, what's
watching,
that?
um, so the crystals are
The
pentacles, I think.
pentacles. Oh, there's a cat. There's a little white cat.
Oh.
That's interesting timing.
So the crystals deck is all about oh no, thoughts, knowledge, mental power, intellect, and so it's swords.
Oh,
Get
okay.
with the program, Gail. So it's the suit of crystals is associated with the element of air and deals with the mental realm. The cards symbolize how you think, what you know, and your quality of mind and intellect. This suit focuses on action and change driven by thought and offers advice for mental struggles and conflicts. They often represent and relate to the astrological signs of the air, which is Libra, Gemini, and Aquarius. And the Knight of Crystals, so it's a knight and he's on a unicorn. It's a very fast moving card. So he's like charging, ta-da, or charging towards something. The key words for the card are ambition, fast thinking, and jumping to conclusions. Um, the booklet's saying this is your sign to determinedly move forward, but make sure to ground yourself and see things through so you're aware of potential challenges. The Knight of
Mm.
Crystals is charging through green plains. I'm like, oh yeah, as fast as the wind. Although his speed and quick thinking benefits him, it can sometimes be a curse. He often jumps to conclusions and doesn't plan ahead. You're bursting with ideas and enthusiasm to make them happen, but this is not the time to rush things or cut corners. Is there
Mm.
anywhere in your life at the moment, Sandra, where you might be jumping to conclusions or trying to
Oh,
expedite things and cut corners?
I don't think so. Nothing springing to mind about jumping corners, um, or jumping to conclusions. Nothing springs to mind. What did come to me while you were reading that, though, was around the astrology of the next couple of weeks. It is mental. We've got so many planets coming together in Aries, and this is like unheard of to have so many planets in Aries. And it's Mars energy. Aries is like the one that's straight out the gate, first of the zodiac, and it can be really action oriented. And you might be feeling the urge to sort of like go, like feel sort of impulsive at the moment. But with so much going on, we've still got this bit of fog as well with that Neptune is bringing. So it's almost like we're not seeing things entirely clearly. And it's a time to really be like intentional about the action that you're taking and where it is that you're going. And also, like the card says, like not jumping to conclusions about things, not making assumptions, making sure you know the facts. And that's the thing with the Knight of Swords. It's very much like it's getting the facts because it can be quite a hasty kind of energy and it wants to move quickly. It wants to move fast, but is it moving with the truth? Is it moving in the direction that it really wants to go, or is it being a bit hasty in the action taken?
Mm,
Especially, I want to like mention communication as well, like because with so many planets in Aries, and I think it's Thursday that we've got Mercury coming into Aries. So communication can be quite fiery and people can be quite reactive in that energy and the extreme. And you might be feeling that yourself as well. So it's like it's sort of coming back, taking a minute because like Knight of Swords rules communication as well. So it's like not being hasty in your communications and kind of taking a beat to sort of cool off if you need to cool off, because there can be like sort of clashing of energies with so much Aries going on. Um, so yeah, what about for you?
Um, whilst you were chatting, I pulled a couple to see what area of life this might be where you might where one or the listener maybe jump into conclusions. Um, and the Two of Wands came out actually on top of the Queen of Wands, and then the Six of Crystals on the bottom of the deck, which is the Six of Swords. But both of them, so the Two of Wands is actually is a woman standing with the globe in her hand, and the Six of Crystals is just so as that's traveling. So I feel that this might be um decisions on like location, or it could even be as simple as holiday.
Mm.
But it's there's sort of a sense of travel is the other thing that's kind of I wonder if there's something other thing that's popped into my head is like it's like doubt in yourself.
Okay.
Like I don't know where that's come from, but that's just something that's like don't doubt yourself.
Mm.
But sometimes we jump to conclusions because of external factors, um, or what we
There
think
an
we see.
example that's coming up in mind while you're on that topic?
Oh, for me, oh, sorry, I thought you were going to share an example there. But I was just meaning like sometimes when we jump to conclusions, it could be because we see a certain set of circumstances in our external world and we assume that something that tells us something. Let's
Mm.
say, so before we started recording, my doorbell went and there was somebody, I just looked out the window and somebody then walked away. A man had a notebook in his hand, a lanyard around his neck, and I jumped to conclusions that he was there to sell me something. And
Oh,
so I just viewed that as a situation that's what so I actually didn't answer the door because we were chatting, but actually it could have been something else. So I've
mm.
made an assumption and jumped to some conclusions based on the what I saw. But
Mhm.
obviously I didn't know why he was at my door because I didn't answer the door. I just saw a man with a lanyard and a notebook in his hand.
Which
He
is
could have,
interesting because then it's like that Knight of Swords is like get the facts,
yeah,
like find it, like
yeah,
and communicate and ask so that you have the clarity
yeah,
for the next step, which is
yeah.
like that Two of Wands energy. It's like
Well, I
taking
was
the
going to
next
say,
step.
yeah, because with the Two of Wands, it's like there are two wands to pick from. So it's like, albeit so if um, are you making assumptions on which one you're selecting? And then the thing why I was sort of saying around the sort of self-doubt, that was maybe where the Queen of Wands bit came in. I was like, that kind of like trust your, I mean, maybe I was trusting my intuition with that, but equally, he could have been coming to my door to tell me I had won £1 million. I don't think he
Imagine you're
was,
just
but
taking
you
right
never know. Um, but yeah, no, it just sort of it's interesting, isn't it? Where you start to think, where are you jumping to conclusions? Oh, maybe I'm not. But
now.
actually, it could be in your work situation, or even just as simple as somebody's come to your door and you've not
Yeah,
answered. Um, or we're reading stuff on social media and we're jumping to conclusions when do we have all the facts? And are you tuning into what your intuition is telling you? Or are you just going with like the stuff that's there? And especially like you were saying about being like that fast moving energy is sometimes we're doing things instantly rather than actually just taking a beat.
yeah, yeah.
Another day was like hold your horses, which is why it's like with
Ah, like
they're
our
on the
horses.
unicorn. Hold your horses.
Hold it up again, so I can see the unicorn, or we can
It's
see.
like purple. Sorry, there we
Oh,
go.
yeah.
These
Oh,
cards are really they're black backgrounds and there's a lot of like gold on them, which are beautiful in real life. Sometimes it's a little bit tricky to replicate on here. The
yeah,
unicorn is sort of purple with like a really bright red fiery mane.
yeah.
Um, and then the ground is sort of blue tones and there's like a sort of a tree in the background that's turquoise.
Do you know what I get with that, with seeing it as well? It's really interesting that the unicorn is coloured, but the knight isn't. So the knight has just got the outline. So
He's
it's
wearing
almost
a
like
cape,
if you're
which is
wearing
purple, but then you're right, the rest of them is
because I'm getting this energy of like being divinely guided, which is a mess with the Six of Swords as well about like moving forward. Is like your connection with the divine, with the universe, spirit, whatever you want to call it, but it's like that connection to something bigger and the interconnectedness of everything, but very much like a movement forward. It's interesting. Mm. It's such
mm,
a beautiful deck.
yeah, it's lovely. I haven't really played around with it for a wee while, but it was out on my desk.
What's at the bottom of the deck?
It was the six of crystals at the
Oh,
bottom.
that was at the bottom.
Yeah.
Mm.
Uh, but yeah, that's why I was like, when I was sort of thinking, where do you jump into conclusions on? Uh, maybe it's about a choice of location.
Mm.
Where in the world are you?
I feel like you've got a secret message that you want to deliver to me.
It's yeah, choices.
Choices, choices. The world is your oyster. That's a message as well with the of wands as well. It's like there's a whole world out there. Um, when you are sitting in your comfort zone, it's like it can be there. I'm seeing it as two extremes. It's like on one end, it can be hard to see all of the possibilities that are available to you. And then on the other extreme, it's like when you step out and you realize that you're not completely attached unless you believe you are to the comfort zone that you're in, there is a whole world of possibilities available to you. And then that in itself can be overwhelming. And maybe it's like about finding a sort of middle ground so that it's like, creating change and getting out of that comfort zone and moving forward, but it not feeling in a way that is overwhelming or feeling like too much. Because it's like when you're creating change and you're moving forward in whatever respect it is for you, it can be it can be either one or the other, right? Or it can be all of the shades in between. So it's like it's where are you on that scale, I want to ask, in terms of when it comes to your next moves.
It's interesting just to listen as you were talking. I kind of had a flick through the bottom of the deck under the six of crystals, and there's about four other crystals cards, which is obviously
Oh.
swords. And then weirdly on the top of the deck underneath, like what came out was there's death. Another thing that sort of came into my head a bit is that so if you think the bottom of the deck, this what's the underlying energy? Is it suggesting to me you're too much in your head? Like given
Mm.
all of these swords cards or crystals cards that's there, because there's the six, then the five, then the three, and then the king, and then there's actually the 10 stars. But it just feels like there's a lot of like mental energy around it all. And
Mhm.
when it's interesting when you say, well, what, the other two that came out when I was asking around, what area might this be in of the Knight of Crystals is the message around conclusions. The wands have come out in that kind of like spark of inspiration. It's a bit more intuitive or like leaning into that. And then the fact this death card's kind of kept popping out around the top, it's like it feels like to me it's sort of like you need to get out your head, or maybe there's like an idea that needs to quote unquote die to allow
Mhm.
the true choices to unfold.
Mhm.
Sometimes I think we can feel, I want to say, stuck in obligation, which is quite a mental energy, I think. And that can, I was going to say, cock block us into the things that we really want.
Mhm.
Um, so it's, I don't know, maybe that might be relevant for someone, but maybe you're just a bit in your head. Maybe there is an option where you're craving to move location and do something, but your head's like, nah, that's just nonsense. Why would I do that? And make a set of assumptions that, how would I work? Where would I get a job? Where would I live? What would I do? Blah, 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 blah. Um, so
Yeah.
you're stopping yourself, making too many assumptions on what it would be.
Yeah. I think the guidance with the two of wands in the midst of all of those swords cards is really it's about action. And sometimes it's just taking that little step out of your comfort zone and switching up your routine a bit so that you can allow a different unfolding. Because when you get stuck in your routine and you're doing the same thing each day, because 95% of our lives are lived from the subconscious. So like the majority of our lives, we're repeating what we've done days before or in the past, what's known, what's comfortable.
Mm.
And with the Two of Wands, it's like there's an invitation there to switch it up, even if it's just a small step outside of your comfort zone and opening the possibilities for something different, for a different conversation to take place, going a different place, seeing something new, being inspired by your surroundings. Because even when you're like going about your day to day and you're doing the same things and you're in the same places, is you're not really seeing the full of even what's around you. I'm getting the vision of like, when you're looking out at a view and you're looking at like what's in your immediate view, and then you zoom out to look at the horizon. And when you look at the horizon, you see the full picture of what's in front of you because your perspective has shifted so much that it's expanded to see the entire view. And you might not be soaking up every detail of what's there because our minds cannot do that. Like there's just too much information. But I'm seeing it that it's like looking out at the horizon so that you can see more expansive, see more that is available. And it's just like that shift in perspective of how you're looking at something, how you're seeing something. And getting out the routine can definitely be a good step. Mm,
Let's
yeah.
stop jumping to conclusions.
It's
What's it they
interesting
say?
that that's the one
Assumptions.
that's
You can.
that's jumped out to you.
Yep.
Interesting, isn't it? The messages that come through
Mm.
that like seem really like potent. Mm,
I think because it's quite an easy thing to do, and I think when we can feel a lot of external pressures, that's where it's like you get fixated on the narrow vision of what's in your world. Um,
mm,
so I think it's quite easy to make assumptions on what's going on. Um, and it takes a conscious interjection to step back and look at that bigger picture. And,
mm,
sometimes life is life and it can be quite difficult to do that. But when you realize then, that might help you take steps towards what your dream is. Because sometimes
yeah.
we jump to conclusions that we're not able to move towards the thing it is that we really want to move towards because of whatever reasons.
Mm,
And then this sort of thing around the death card that's sitting out, the death card in this deck is really beautiful, and it just makes me think of surrender because it's like this is where it's like tricky to get the
mm,
vision of it. Um, it's a lady, she's sort of almost like floating up, and she's just surrendering. And then it's like there's something coming out of her chest, but it's like a release or a surrender of like what doesn't serve you anymore.
mm,
It feels a very freeing light card because it's almost like there's clouds and sky. It's like you've sort of like gone up and released something and you're going to float back down. It's surrender. And it's like letting go of things that feel heavy to you, like that kind of floaty. Like
yeah.
let go of the things that feel heavy.
Mm. It's such a transformative energy, the death card.
Mm. It is especially like in this deck it feels much more ethereal rather than like the Rider Waite.
Mm.
Um, and so it does feel like freedom.
Mm. Oh, nice.
Mm.
Freedom! We take our lives, but they will never take our
Which
freedom.
is really funny, given that you've just said that. It's like this is very much the charge
Yeah.
with the
Braveheart.
Braveheart film feels
Iconic line, though. Iconic line.
from an Australian.
I know. He did do a fairly decent Scottish
It wasn't
accent.
too bad, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I watched it in years. Braveheart.
no, me neither. I think physically I thought he looked really good and actually his accent wasn't too bad, but Yeah. What can you do?
Or
What can you do? What can you do?
be
Um,
interesting to hear from people how the messages today resonate for you. This is the thing, is because it's like there's so many different stories going on in people's lives as well. It can relate in different ways. So I can always
mm,
tarot is like take it how it resonates and apply it to your life if it makes sense. But it'd be interesting to hear from you.
absolutely. And it doesn't have to be something big. It could literally, like I used my little example of the person coming to the door, but um, even it can be about how you're making assumptions on like other people and jump into
Yeah,
conclusions on like why people are showing up in a particular way, but you don't know what's going on in someone's life, right?
yeah.
Um, but then yeah, there's also a bit of like, determined move forwardness.
Mhm.
Lots of different ways to interpret the cards. That's one thing that's just so cool about tarot.
I know that's why I love it so much. And then when you've got the different cards that come out together and it creates a story and gives more and more context to what it is,
Mm.
it's really cool. It's one of the best tools to, if anybody's interested in working with tarot, if you're not already, it's one of the best tools to really connect with yourself and your intuition, to connect to the universe and your spirit team.
Well, yeah, because
And
I mean, for people that are listening, I mean, you and I often will take different things from the cards, or there'll be different messages that'll pop into our head from a particular, because you bring your own life experience as well into how you interpret things, and we are all very different, um, and sometimes it's like I sort of talk about this, it's just their pictures on a page, but I just think like the more you just, it's like my sort of top tip if you're getting started on that is, to just sit with things. Don't put the cards away too quickly. Like just like even just sit with them. Like, how I've been sort of sitting, because Sandra's very good at things come into her head very quickly. Whereas sometimes I just have to sort of be with them for a little bit, and I will sometimes read the guidance in the book, because actually, like you've heard today, like there were three or four different things that the Knight of Crystals could represent, but I kind of one thing really stood out for me. But you might find that one thing will, a different thing will stand out for you. I would always say as well, find a deck where the imagery really resonates with you.
oh, it's so important. Yeah, yeah. And
Mm.
it can be tricky, like if you're just learning tarot, to start with something where they give different names to the different suits. It can create a bit of confusion there. So that's just a little tip as well, that if you are getting a tarot deck for the first time, is go for something that's got the traditional suits. So the cups, the swords, the wands, and the, what else did I miss? The cups, the swords, the wands,
Pentacles.
and the pentacles. Yes, those four.
Yeah.
'Cause, yeah, it helps you to connect with the sort of underlying meaning before adding
Yeah.
layers of the different interpretations, like the different
Yeah.
people can give them.
I think we have a previous episode where we talked about selecting a tarot deck and an oracle deck.
Yeah,
So you can go back into our back catalogue
yeah.
and go and listen to that for some top tips on picking a deck and working with a deck. I would also highly recommend, I mean, people learn in different ways, right? So if you are someone, so I've dabbled with tarot for a long time, but something that really helped unlock my own intuition was doing an in-person course,
Mm,
um, because I found it really helpful to learn off other people and their interpretations. And there was, the Janine who taught us she taught us the Rider-Waite meanings, but really set a space up where we could engage with our own intuition. So you start to really develop your style of reading, and
yeah,
what do things mean for you? What are you seeing in the pictures? And so that might be something that would be really helpful for you, or you might be like actually good to go with reading the guidebook and a few YouTube videos, or actually you just pick up a deck and you see pictures and things just make sense. Just lean into what works for you.
yeah. And doing it in person as well gives you the
Oh,
opportunity to
so
actually
good.
practice with other people too, to meet other people and to
Yeah.
do readings for each other where you're picking up, you're connecting with an energy of somebody that you might not know,
Mm,
which is cool because then it's really testing you to tap into your intuition and connect with the energies of the
yeah.
cards, which is nice.
Yeah, and I would say for me, because I've not picked up a tarot deck for a few weeks. I've been doing Oracle recently,
Mm.
and I find that the more I work with the tarot, the more my intuition speaks, and the less I need to rely on the guidebook.
Yeah,
So I would say as well, practice is always helpful.
yeah. I also want to say, don't be afraid of it. For
Oh,
anyone who's like been
I
thinking about, oh, I really love tarot, but I don't
know.
know where to start, or like I don't know what I'm doing, or it seems like a lot. There is so much to learn about it, but don't let that put you
Mm.
off.
And
Get
you are a human with choice, that whatever comes up in the cards does not predict the future. You have free will with which to
exactly,
take
yeah.
on board. And also it's more like, I think they're just really good self-inquiry tools, as you said, Sandra. Like they're just so good to get you maybe thinking from a different perspective, or call you out on stuff where you're like, oh yes, I know I've just been ignoring that.
Yeah.
So yeah. And actually, sometimes the best thing is to go and get a reading from someone else, like a Sandra. You can go and book the
Like
link in her
Sandra.
bio.
Well, if you would like a reading, I actually have added, thanks for bringing that up, because I have now got three different options available on my website for different readings. So the first one is if you want, if you have a specific question or area of your life that you want to focus on, it's a 20-minute reading to look into that. The middle one is it's called The Homecoming, and it is about coming home to yourself, learning to really connect with yourself on a deep level, connect with your intuition, love on yourself. It is like a really, it's like I would call it like a nice intimate reading, and it's focusing on you, and it's really beautiful. So that's the middle one, and the last one is a deep dive. It's the cycle breaker. It's for people who are feeling particularly stuck in a certain area of life, if they feel like they have been repeating a pattern or a cycle and they're like, I need to get off this fucking merry-go-round, we can delve into it and look at the lessons within it, what you can take forward, the different action that will move you, shift you out of it. Um, and also it's like it's a very healing reading. So that is the third option there. So if any of those speak to you, they are on my website and that is connected in the show notes. So go and have a look. And if you've got any questions, give me a shout on it. Um, but my readings, I mean, the thing is, as a tarot reader, is I want to empower people. That's always my mission. And all of the work that I've done in the past, whether it's been Reiki sessions or it's been spiritual life coaching or mentorship, and now tarot readings, it is always to empower you to be the authority and be the leader in your life and to create the kind of change that you want to experience. I I can see from what I've seen on social media and things is that there's some people who are leaning very heavily on external sources for information and guidance. And the readings that I do are to guide you back to the answers within yourself because you know the way. And that's the thing with tarot is I'm just a messenger. Just I get to be a messenger and it's a beautiful gift to be able to share. But the at the heart of it is to guide you back to yourself and the answers that you already hold within. And that's why I love the doing the audio readings because you get to keep the audio so you can revisit it. You can take notes, you can have your aha moments of things that might come up or a shift in perspective or like a different viewpoint on something that's potentially happened in the past or on what your options might be. There's so many different things that we can delve into, but it's about empowering you. It's not giving your power away. And this is the thing with tarot is I used to believe that it was about, that person was in control, that they were, for in some way foretelling my future. And I was afraid of what might come up. That's not what it is. It's not, and at least how I approach tarot. Yes, it's a guidance tool, and yes, it can talk about energies that can come in or energies that you might be working through just now. But it's a guidance tool. It's a divination tool for guidance. And that's really, I feel like that's very important to get across today. So yeah, I'd be interested to hear from people about your relationship with tarot, if you've had a tarot reading in the past as well, or if you are interested in one. And I think the energy, we talked about this in that episode, I remember that finding the right tarot reader for you is important too, that you vibe with their energy. And it's not something that is done out of like feeling a pressure or a force. It's like a calling, like a call. You feel like, do you know what? I'm really drawn to that person's energy. And if that happens to be me, then brilliant. If it's not, then that's okay too, because there's somebody out there for everybody. And yeah, so there we go.
Cool. Until
So,
the next episode.
and else,
Thanks. See you soon.
bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening to today's episode. If you've enjoyed this and would like to keep us fueled for future episodes, you can buy us a coffee.
Or you can make a donation via the link below. It's never expected, but always appreciated. Thanks for listening.